Hi guys, welcome to TV Talk with Natasha and Kimberly. I am Natasha. Say hello, Kimberly.
Hi everyone.
Yay, yay, yay. All right, so we're going to be talking about the last few episodes of the following, like last week's and this week's episodes, and of course Grimm, which came back from a 1-week hiatus because of basketball. But a lot of stuff happened in that episode, so we'll talk about Grimm first, and then we'll talk about the following. So, last week's Grimm's episode was called Synchronicity, or Synchronicity?
Synchronicity, I think, yeah.
We're already mispronouncing names. And so we said goodbye to Meisner, although he had an awesome fight scene. And yeah. I was like, get him, Meisner. I mean, he had that roundhouse. I'm like, yes, thank you. I needed that.
And he took on several guys at once.
Yeah, and so Adeline and the baby managed to get away to safety from Nick's mom, no less. And it was just very interesting how, like, Adeline was trying to learn more about her, and she's like, I don't want to talk much, on the plane ride to their secure location. However, the fact that the prince's men already knew that they were going to be at that airstrip had her concerned, so then she just decided to go to Portland. She needed to see her son anyway and catch up. She really needed to catch up because she needed to know who she had with her. So
I didn't necessarily understand who hired her to escort Adeline then.
At first I thought it was maybe Sean Renard and he just didn't know who she was. I guess the Grimms are just random, like he didn't even think to put two and two together, or it was like the Resistance, one or the other. I couldn't quite understand. I didn't quite understand myself who actually hired her.
Yeah, maybe it was meant to be that way. But another thing that I felt was really interesting is, because they had never discussed it before, is how they can tell that Nick is a Grimm. And
yes, I thought that was very informative.
It was, and see, because I always thought, I was like, because they always make it look like they Volga, and then he sees them, and they're like, oh, he can tell what we are, he must be a Grimm. But you assume that because they're looking straight at him, but that's not the case. They see his eyes go black, and they see, like, what their nature, like their
true nature. And I'm like, huh?
Oh my gosh, that's deep.
I know, right? It's like, it's not just the Volga, it's their true nature. I guess they don't like looking at themselves in the mirror when they Volga. So now Nick can wear sunglasses, and I'm really interested in seeing how they're going to play that when the wedding's at night. So,
it's a basic question too. It's funny that Nick never asked that question.
Well, I mean, some people like suffer from migraines, so even if it's at night and you're like in a really bright lighted area, that can definitely set off a migraine. I know my mom had this issue a lot, so she would start wearing her sunglasses even though it was like she was at her office at work. Yeah. So I mean, it's plausible. That's what I immediately thought of. Or, you know, something bad really happened to Nick's eye, and so they could play that off too. I mean, you can't play off that he's blind. I mean, that's just not happening.
Yeah, I just, he can kind of get away with it, but I feel like something's going to happen.
Well, something's going to happen anyway. I mean, this is like the show of awkwardness. Like, we had Rosalie's family meet Monroe under stressful circumstances or family drama. Then you had Monroe's parents react the way that they did to Rosalie getting engaged to him, and also finding out that he's friends with the Grimm. And so now you have Adeline being in protective custody of none other than Nick's mom, who in a way had Adeline's mom killed. Like, no one knows about that except for Nick and his mom. So it's very that whole dynamic is just crazy, and I'm very glad to see that Juliet was like, I need to beat you down because of what you did to me.
Yeah, she was gonna go at her. I just feel like going back to the wedding for a second, like, wouldn't it just be easier to say, "Hey, my best man's the Grimm, so you can come or you don't have to come. It's entirely up to you." But
True. I mean, it's not like it seems like the enough people know. Like the prince even knows that he exists and that he is at least aligned with a few of people in Western culture, and even like that the secret police society that's located in Europe that had made appearances at least 3 times this season alone knows that he's a Grimm and that he's friends with Monroe and Rosalie. So they just need to put it out there and just be like, look, he's not like other Grimms. He is not here to kill you. I have asked. I invited him. Get over it.
exactly. And I was a little mad that Adeline just ran away. I'm like, why would you do that? Like, well, I guess she went to see Sean. That's fine, but like, obviously they made an effort to show her that they were not going to hurt her, and she still ran
For the
away.
time being.
Yeah. So.
And that was just a very interesting way of catching up, so to speak, because Nick has not seen his mom in months, and she has not seen him in months, even though they've communicated via email. She still had no idea what was going on in Portland, or at least to the point where she was like, oh, that happened. Oh, that's the same person. Okay. Yeah. Awkward.
Very. I mean, nothing outside of those events really happened on Grimm. Like, he didn't have a case or anything, did he?
No. Even Hank wasn't even in the episode.
Right.
Wu, I don't even think Wu was in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Nick's mom kind of put a beat down on this poor farmer who happened to come across them because they landed in his field. I mean, can you blame the man? I'm like, who are you? Just Sean is already in love with the baby, and the baby seems to be developing some powers. I was very concerned that the baby will crash the plane unintentionally. Yes, there's a lot of stuff happening with that baby.
Yeah, but it seems to know what it's doing, which is kind of weird. Like, it seems to. The fact, I mean, it knows who to convince that it's not there, like that it's really there. I mean, it's a lot smarter than, I mean, a normal baby, of course. But it's pretty smart, which is kind of creepy in itself.
Yeah.
So
and
it'll be interesting.
Yeah. It's developing its powers, and it seems to know who to trust. Like, I didn't think that the baby would know to trust Nick's mom. Like, even after she found out about everything, I don't know. I just thought that was interesting as well.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what comes next week for Grimm.
Yeah, because Nick and Mama are like, yeah, we need to get after this baby, or at least, ask Sean, not, attack him, and ask for the baby to put it in protective custody, so to speak. And also, we get to find out kind of like a little backstory as far as when Nick was a kid and how his mom pretty much arranged for him to go with his aunt. I guess that's the day of the accident, or at least the night of the accident, where she was presumed dead. I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah, they did some flashbacks there, so maybe they'll delve into that a little bit with his mom being back. So we'll see a little bit more of that next week, hopefully. So, knock on wood. All right, let's move on to the following.
Lord have mercy.
Episodes with that. Max and Mike, Max and Mike,
Eminem,
Eminem.
Eminem.
I don't
Yeah,
know how I feel about Carrie.
I want her gone. Like she's just as bad as Sarah for me. I am
Oh,
sorry.
jeez.
No, I mean maybe it's because I'm totally shipping Claire and Ryan that I'm just like you need to go away and not come back. But I mean, her being a reporter and Joe using her, I'm fine with that. But just don't be with Ryan. Just just be with someone else. Like.
Yeah, it's kind of
And now we're in a
awkward.
very sticky spot just because Claire's back. Ryan now knows that she's back. She tried to help him. Now she's stuck at his apartment. And now Claire revealed herself to Carrie
Yeah, at the very end. And you know
at
what
the
was
very
weird?
end.
Like Max seemed kind of awkward around, like she didn't know what to say to Claire. Like because when she came in, she like said something. She's like, "Hi, I'm Max. I'm his niece," and then she walks right past her and goes shuts herself up in Ryan's room. Like, and I think it's just because that she knows what Ryan went through when he thought
hmm
that he lost Claire, and she's like, I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him go through anything else, and blah blah blah. So she might just be guarded or whatever. But I thought it was really interesting her dynamic towards Claire, and Claire was just like,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. I mean, we can talk about just kind of separate what Joe's doing, what Lily's doing, and definitely what Ryan and everyone else is doing. Um, yeah. So Ryan actually surprisingly took that well with Mike. Like I thought he would be really pissed and like hit him or something, but no. And maybe that's a growth on his part, or maybe just because he knows what Mike is going through with his dad being dead because of Lily. I don't know. Maybe he's just catching him a break on that, and maybe because he understands how sometimes um, you have to keep that a secret, especially when she's in protective custody like that. Like it was the same thing in season one. She was in protective custody, and Mike almost died protecting where she was. So I think with Ryan, he just needed to make sure that he didn't initially. Apparently, Mike didn't initially know. He was brought in later, so I think
he
that helped him be not as mad at him for that.
no, he knew because they did that flashback. What was it last week, I think, or the week before? They did a flashback where he sees her alive in the hospital. So he knows he's going into protective custody, but he does not know where she ends up. I think.
Okay, that's what it was. He didn't know where she was initially.
Mhm.
That not the fact that she was alive, but that she didn't know. He didn't know where she was, and I think Ryan was okay with that.
Well, yeah, he kind of had to be. I mean, he couldn't have said his piece when it came to her. He like told her,
hmm
that wasn't your choice to make, and she's like, I had to do what was best to protect my son. And I mean, he's got to understand that, and it seems like he does understand that.
Yeah,
Um, what, Mandy? Come, look,
I can't.
that's
I
I
was
just want to
so
slap that girl.
rooting for her. I was so happy that she overheard the conversation when she did and decided to run away. But the fact that she ran to Mark and Luke and Lily, that was very naive on her part, and she paid the price for it. Can we just have a moment of silence? I feel like I'm saying that too much.
Yeah, but well, look, like what was stupid on her part is the fact that not the fact that she ran to him, the fact that she ran to him and thought they wouldn't ask her where Ryan is,
You
and
mean Joe?
Joe, I'm sorry, where Joe is, and like want to know that information. Like she thought it was okay to tell them, I'm sorry, I can't tell you that. Like she thought it was gonna be okay.
No.
Like why? She's seen what they've done. Like I don't understand that at all, and I'm like, gosh.
That was just very naive. And Joe felt, I have to give it to Joe though, at least he felt like really guilty of how the situation with Mandy kind of resulted because of the fact of him trying to deal with this cult and Emma speaking in his ear just, and he totally blamed her for it too. Like he's not happy with Emma right now.
No, he isn't. It's interesting. Like I like. he finally had that big long speech, and it cleared some things up for me because I was like, Joe is obviously not religious, and he has a problem with organized religion, and he calls it hypocrisy. But that makes more sense to me because I was like, this guy's not religious. I mean, obviously he doesn't believe in the commandments, you know. So I'm like, so it makes more sense to me that he would be looking at it from that aspect, and so now I kind of okay with the way that he is in the cult, because now it makes sense to me, because I was like, please do not have this guy claiming that he is religious and he's doing this for religion, because it's just going to make me angry. So it's just, so I'm glad they kind of cleared that up a little bit, because I was
They
like,
cleared it up, but that I'm still not comfortable with it. And just, of course, of all the people that would go after him, it's a pastor, and now his family's involved. And of course, Carrie called him out on it about the fact that, you know, you're going after Joe, but you're definitely seeing increase in sales of whatever you're trying to sell. And it just sucks that we still have to deal with that kind of thing, because apparently he's a TV evangelist, so of course, you know, he's on TV, he's trying to get ratings, he's trying to, you know, spread the gospel, so to speak, and I don't know, I'm just not comfortable with that whole religious angle.
well, I mean, it would make sense that somebody religious would go after him, because he's kind of making he's insulting it. So I mean,
and unfortunately, it's kind of like a twofold. Yeah, you can go after someone for the good of, you know, Christianity, but at the same time, you're still getting something out of it. So
true.
It's kind of like a twofold kind of a thing. And unfortunately, I would have been kind of more rooting in the pastor's corner if, you know, he didn't get something out of it. Like, if it was like seriously a small town person that just happens to be really vocal about it, I don't know. I don't know if he would be just as believable as someone that's on TV weekly, being a TV evangelist. Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think that's the point, because that's why he's saying, because that's exactly what gets to Joe, is the fact that you have somebody out there that is getting something from this, and then calls like it's, you know, so it's just, I think that's probably why they did it. And there's people out there that actually have TV shows, I think. I don't really watch too many TV evangelists. I mean, I go to church every Sunday. I'm happy with going to church every Sunday and hearing my own pastor. But I mean, I think it just played a role into, like, I think that was just they were playing into his anger. So I'm just glad they kind of like defined that, because I was like getting tired of him trying to be religious. Like, I was like, that's not right. So
no, I mean, you could kind of tell that he was thinking of it as a hypocrisy, and then when he explained it, it made even more sense. But just the fact that he's using religion instead of something else, I mean, but it makes sense with the kind of cult that he has, because they are kind of religious, not in a sense of Christianity, but just like having a leader and telling them how life is and how things work. So that part of it, I understand why he's using the Bible, but at the same time, I'm still not comfortable with it. And I'm still angry that he killed a cat. And what Emma, I mean, I seem to see a pattern with her, because Robert had some concerns, and I think they were validated concerns, as far as what direction Joe is going. And so Joe's like, yeah, Emma, can you talk to him? No, Emma talks to him and she sleeps with him. It seems like when she deals with men, she has to use her sex appeal for it, whereas with women, she uses a little bit more of an aggression. She's more aggressive with it in how she makes sure that they're loyal to him or to Joe. And so I just find it unfortunate that she couldn't just talk with Robert and it'll be okay. Like, she had to also have sex with him.
Well, look at how she was brought up. Look at how her mom was. Do you remember from the first season where her mom would always hit on guys, and would hit on guys that she brought over and stuff like that? So it's just kind of like, kind of part of her past.
Yeah, unfortunately, she learned that from her mom, and she didn't want to be like her mom. Well, guess what? You are. And And granted, she feels like she's doing it for Joe. She has a reason for doing it, but at the same time, you don't need to. Like, you are a badass on your own. Like, you can stab people, you can kill people. Like, you don't need to use your sex appeal, at least with the men, in order to get your point across.
Yeah. Well, and then let's go to Lily. That's just
I have to give her props for her escape plan with Luke, because it did actually manage to she succeeded with that. So I have to give her props.
yeah, God.
It makes you doubt the people that even go into the hospital, because again, it started with an attack at a coffee shop, so they had to be brought to the hospital that Luke just happened to be staying at. Yeah.
I know, it was a little kind of, and that's why I think some people get angry with the series. They're like, they make the like FBI look stupid, and I mean, they're not. I don't know. I mean, it's a television show, so I just
Yeah.
Lily. It's okay. She's back in, what city are they in? New York? Like, I don't understand how she's flying in and out of the country. Like,
I don't think she was flying in and out of the country. I just think that she was giving false trails. Like, she had her own followers. I mean, considering when Mandy arrived or when she got picked up by Mark, there were guards. Yeah, she has people working for Lily, like working for her. So she probably has several lookalikes that are just triapsing across Europe or wherever, and so people are giving false tips. And unfortunately, the FBI is probably spread thin enough where they can't really follow every single lead. So even if someone really saw her in the New York area, I don't know if they would have thought it was that viable. Like, it's kind of like cut your losses and try and get as far away from the U.S. as possible in a country that doesn't, do extradition. So it would have made sense for her to go to Europe, but no, she's got an agenda. She had to get her son back, Luke, and now that she has him back, yeah, she can probably go to Europe now. But no, she has it in for Joe. Everyone has it in for Joe now. I mean, Claire's like, I want to kill Joe.
I think, and then Ryan, of course, went off on his own. Like, why? I mean, why would you follow a van full of people knowing that you could get to a bigger group of people by yourself? You should just let Lily sit back, and I would, like, seriously, I would, like, give Lily an anonymous tip and let them fight it out, and whoever survives, that's who you go after. I mean,
true. I mean, let's see the battle of the psychos. Like, I'm ready.
Right. So yeah. It'll be interesting, because you're right, Lily's not giving it up.
Yeah, and there's Luke and Mark, and then it's like Emma and I guess maybe someone else. I don't know who at this point, but it seems it's like Joe and Emma. And Emma can probably take both of the twins. Like, I don't know. Like, I just want to see it. But I know that Mike really wants to get at Lily, and Ryan wants to get at Joe. And can we just talk about the whole frat house situation? I felt bad for the security guard because, yeah, he actually did his job. He was suspicious. He had a right to be suspicious, and he was correct in being suspicious, but he got killed for it anyway. And then these frat houses, considering how many, I don't know, this should be considered present day, and considering how many shootings there have been in college campuses, I would have thought the frat house would have been a little more cautious as to who's going in and out of that frat house. I mean, you have people that are looking for someone that happens to be I don't know if they know, I don't care, but it's just someone that's part of their frat. Someone's looking for him, and you have not seen them there before at all up until this point. And you're just not the least bit suspicious. And now they're totally traumatized. In fact, they're probably not going to celebrate Halloween anytime soon,
right.
Because they got masks glued onto their faces. How painful is that?
Yeah, it was kind of disgusting.
And I did tweet, like, that college is going to get all kinds of sued.
Yeah. That was unfortunate, and I guess the one of the guys died, so Joe lost another follower. But
And it's
um,
coincidentally, it was well, I don't even know. I don't even remember his name now because he was only in there a few episodes. And him and I don't even remember the girl's name, but she was like really plus size, and I guess she was starting to have feelings for him because she was like, I'm pissed you killed my boy. And do people still insult people that are like plus size? Like, I'm not understanding. It,
well, yeah, I mean, there was a frat boy who was probably like 18 years old. That I mean,
yeah.
it was that type of personality, you know. So
Yeah. Well, they learned their lesson.
yeah, he
Uh,
did.
it was both him, and his little side chick. Yeah.
Don't
I'm,
insult people, everybody.
yeah. So that's why you shouldn't insult people. You don't know who you're insulting.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be insulting the wrong person, and you get stabbed for it.
All right, let's wrap up here. We are, I mean, this is our wrap up for the two followings in the Grimm. We're going to be back next week because
Mhm.
both shows are going to be back.
Mhm.
Probably going to add a little Game of Thrones to it.
And hopefully, Once Upon a Time, because we need to talk about Once Upon a Time.
Yes, and Once Upon a Time. So you guys look for that coming soon. As always, you can find me at Anime23, sometimes at the Nerd Element, and Natasha.
At WillCat12, and also as at the Nerd Element.
Yep, she's usually at the Nerd Element, like all the time, and she's really good with tweets. All right, guys, we will see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.